it's worth this much, and he's looking at me like, I'm like the bad guy bringing him some bad news. But the truth is, it's not just him. We've experienced some of that ourselves in our listings and our deals, and I see other people getting some of that as well. And of course, this is all in the higher end market. So if you guys are out there investing or listing or doing some stuff out there, make sure that you understand that the market is changing right now, and that knowing what that value is before you drop it, before you put it on the market, is going to be key, because otherwise you end up putting stuff up that doesn't sell, which is happening in the market that we were listing this property in. There was 20 properties available, 0 pending. What does that mean? What does that mean when there's 20 properties available, 0 pending, and 4 deals that closed last month?
You just got to put it into perspective. Think about like a grocery store. So what happens when you have an entire aisle full of cereal and nobody's buying on that aisle?
That's right.
It's no different than with houses. It shows you that people aren't looking for that right now. That's not an interest that people have. And unfortunately, in the high-end market, that's what you're seeing is go on there. I dare you to pull up any area where houses are worth more than 500,000 more than likely. And you're going to find that you can't sell a house there, or that it's selling very, very slowly. The days on market are real high, and there's a ton of active properties.
So I came up with a new word for this market yesterday, and I'm not sure if I made this up or if I read this somewhere, but I called it a stale market. And what I saw when I was pulling this specific property up, by the way, this property was in a small section of Meyerland. What I saw was 20 properties that were active. Half of them with those little down arrows. When you pull up properties on MLS, you see those little down arrows that say, "Hey, this thing's been price reduced," and half of them had those. Half of those properties had those. Half of them had over 120 days on market, and 0 pending properties. So that scared me. When I look at a market or a section like that, and I see 0 properties pending, what has to happen in order for any of those people to potentially sell is further price reductions, right? And they continue to price reduce until finally someone out there becomes interested, becomes an irresistible price, and now sets a new comp or a new value for the area. So it's I want to say that we have been really, really blessed to be able to have sold a lot of the properties that we have. But even though I see how some people out there are now worried, we met with a private lender yesterday, BB, and his take was the same thing. Is, hey,
it's across the board.
I want to lend money, but I want to stay away from anyone that is borrowing high end or any projects that are high end, because I don't want to lose my money. And I guess he had maybe some bad experiences, or maybe had come across some bad borrowers or something that maybe scared him away from it. At the same time, the market alone is scary enough. If you sink $300,000 or $400,000 into a house, and then a year later you list it for 20% less, there is no equity on that loan, and now you're in trouble.
If lenders are scared and are holding back credit, then that just means the woes are still ahead. I don't see it getting any better right now or anytime soon.
Well, we still have to go through an adjustment period. Now that we have finally settled out who our next president is going to be, which, man, I'm so thankful for that, and that now we can finally start getting back into the rhythm of things. Now we can start figuring out what's going to make more sense. And everybody keeps telling. I had a buyer call me yesterday. Hey, should I buy now or should I wait till after my tax return? And it's like, dude, if you wait till after your tax return, by that time, taxes, may have come back, and you may have some money in your pocket. But what about interest rates? What if they went up by then?
Oh yeah.
And your buying power is cut in half. Anyway, we got to take a quick commercial break. But when we get back, we got to tell you a whole lot about what's happening here locally. We're going to talk about some net listings, some misconceptions, and continue to give you updates on how you can grow your business. Stay tuned.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you are interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepickettrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepickettrealty.com. non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express, who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
What do you love about White Picket?
I love that we work together as a team.
I love being professional while having fun.
I love the innovative approach we take every day.
I love the support we get to grow our business.
We love White Picket! And I love empowering the next generation of realtors to live life by their own design. If you're looking to grow, come grow with us. Email join@teamwpr.com. Again, that's join@teamwpr.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can live tweet us at Realty Ruckus. You can also find us live on YouTube and Facebook, where you can comment on the show and we can answer your questions live on the air. If you want to call into the show, 832-790-2578. Again, that's 832-790-2578. You can also text to the same number if you want to chat with us live on the show. But right now, David, what's the weather look like this week?
Well, guys, we're in for a great week for pre-Thanksgiving week activities, getting all that stuff out of the way before the craziness hits. We're going to have highs in the mid-80s throughout the weeks and lows in the low 60s. Slight chance of rain today, but other than that, it should be nice, sunny, and kind of cool out there. So enjoy the week before the madness hits next week.
Oh man, I love it. Good weather is like something we don't normally get, so you have to take advantage of it. We're going to be out on the trails today doing some of that, maybe a couple times this week actually. But we want to talk a little bit about what's happening here locally, some news that have hit us and we think are important for you guys to know. So first off, all right, so we know that there's, a problem with police officers and individuals being possibly, mistreated. Now, I got to tell you guys, a few months ago, I don't know if I told you guys this story, but I was stopped near here, near the office.
Yeah,
right?
I remember that.
I was stopped here near the office. I was on my way home. It was possibly like 8:30, and I get pulled over, and the police officer gets out with his gun, walks up to my window, and by this time, I'm already terrified because I'm like, man, what did I do? You know what I mean? And he's like, hey, get out of the car. And I'm like, hey, is everything all right? He's like, people with this car aren't here unless they're doing drugs. And I'm like, dude, I work around here. I'm on my way home. I get it. I wasn't in the best street or whatever down here, but
you were on a street that is known as Death Row. It is the most dangerous street in Houston.
It is also a shortcut to the street that leads to my house. All right. So anyway, I get it. I was probably not on the best street at 8:30 p.m. But the guy literally pulls me in. I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's the matter here? And he's like, you sit there and you shut up. So I'm like, all right, this guy's on a power trip. I'm gonna let him do his thing. He puts me in handcuffs, right? And I'm like, hey, wait a minute, am I under arrest? He's like, yeah, you're under arrest for the time being. Guy starts searching my car, right? At this time, I'm like, all right, dude, this is getting overboard. I'm going to need you to call your supervisor. I can't have you searching my car because I didn't give you permission to do it. He's like, I don't need your permission to do it. And literally rummages through my car. Obviously, he doesn't find anything. And then by that time, I've already been talking to his partner over here and saying, letting him know, hey, I'm not posing any threat here. I don't know what your deal is. And the guy's like, all right, we didn't find anything. Here you go. Go on about your way. And I got to tell you, that was really, really scary. That was terrifying, because I had no control. I had no ability to do or say anything. And these guys had a lot of power to say or do whatever they wanted without any potential repercussions there. So right now we're seeing that is it state of Texas or Houston?
Houston.
Okay, so Houston is looking at passing a local law that says they're going to be arming all police officers with $8 million worth of body cameras. What do you guys think about something like that? Is that going to help the police, issues that we have?
I think did Houston police have them before?
Houston police did carry body cams, but it was on like a temporary basis, so it wasn't a for sure everything. It was a kind of a study that they were doing.
Yeah, my only thing is most of the time they end up turning them off or something happens magically with them. The only thing is I think they're a great idea, but if we're going to pay $8 million for them out of the taxpayer's pocket, then we should make sure there's things in place to ensure those cameras stay on and rolling and or that footage is accessible by the public.
What's the point if you can just hit a button and oops, it got turned off and now
well, it's not only that, but you think about all these situations where there was a body cam present and it's clearly looks like a crime, at least on our side. Granted, we don't always have all the evidence, but sometimes you can tell just by what's going on in the video footage whether force was excessive or not. I'm sure that we can all, at least everyone can agree on one of those times that it was excessive, that it was still found not guilty, and the grand jury didn't indict over those things. So that's the problem, is that what good is a body cam if it doesn't help to indict the police officers, but it only helps to indict the criminals?
Yeah. Keep everyone safe on both sides if we're going to make that type of investment.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one thing that's going on locally here in Houston. Hopefully, that's an $8 million payoff that actually does something. Because
hopefully,
if not,
it's an $8 million good investment on
exactly,
not
exactly.
just tossing money out there. Now we also want to talk about Sugarland. Now Sugarland is growing rapidly.
Yeah,
their real estate has always been real steady on growth. They've done great in terms of appreciation, but now they're looking at annexing a couple of the areas near them. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so they're looking at two places, a new territory, and I forget the name of the other one, but yeah, they're looking at annexing both of those and adding 30,000 citizens.
Yeah, it's new territory in Greatwood.
Greatwood, that's the other one. Yeah, new territory in Greatwood. They're looking at annexing and adding those 30,000 people that are in those areas to the Sugarland area officially. So it'd be city of Sugarland. A new territory would no longer be its own little place like it is right now. Now, what they're doing is they're trying to sell everyone on it by saying, hey, that's a good thing because we're going to lower your property taxes, because Sugarland makes so much more in retail taxes than it does in anything else. And so that's how they're trying to sell the people on it. Whether it's good or bad, it's hard to tell. I mean, New Territory and Greatwood are both receiving services already from the city of Sugarland. So that's where they get their water. That's where they get their utilities. So I don't see that much changing for the residents. If anything, they'll get a small price cut in their property taxes. So it's pretty much a positive thing.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's going to help Sugarland continue its growth. It's going to allow its members to see more appreciation by annexing some of the local markets that are already doing great. And so I think overall we're gonna see some continuous increases over there in that market. By the way, I happen to love that market, so if you find any properties out there that maybe need some fixing up, send them my way, because I know my wife and I are looking into that area as well. We also want to talk about something that's happening that's going to affect all of us, because I know I use this service all the time.
All the time.
I mean, this service for me made a major difference in quality of life. And I know you guys have all probably used this service when you go out to a bar and hang out with your friends, maybe have a couple extra wings and a couple extra beers, and you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to do the responsible thing, but instead of calling that really, really musty, stinky yellow taxi cab, you call an Uber, right? And I do it, all the time. In fact, when I don't want to drive anywhere, Uber is the thing to do. It's the thing to go to. But now we're seeing that the state wants to start taxing Uber. They want a little piece of the pie.
Well, they want the city basis.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting that as soon as the city is seeing that Uber is making some big money, they're starting to say, well, we're gonna need some regulations on who your drivers can or can't be, which just means I need to know how many drivers you have so that I can potentially tax you on those drivers.
Oh yeah, which they do plan on doing to Uber.
Yeah.
Depending on how many drivers a taxi or whatever company has,
Yeah.
they'll fine.
Yeah.
That
So,
company.
what's interesting about that is that Uber has now said, hey, based on how this is resolved, Uber may or may not want to be in Houston or even Texas. So we may be seeing the end of Uber here. And that's unfortunate because I think it's a great idea. It's a great company, ingenious. And we got to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you're interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
What do you love about White Picket?
I love that we work together as a team.
I love being professional while having fun.
I love the innovative approach we take every day.
I love the support we get to grow our business.
We love White Picket.
And I love empowering the next generation of realtors to live life by their own design. If you're looking to grow, come grow with us. Email join@teamwpr.com. Again, that's join@teamwpr.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can always live tweet us at Realty Ruckus. You can also find us live on Facebook and YouTube, where we can answer your questions and comments live on the air. Now, right now, we want to have a discussion about one of very interesting topics, something that a lot of people bring up, and I think it's very commonly misunderstood in real estate, and that is net listings. And it's something that is illegal across a lot of the country. Here in Texas, we're fortunate that it is legal, but it is highly, highly misunderstood.
Yeah, so recently we had a issue with somebody posting on Facebook, actually another investor or an investor group saying, hey, I want to start listing some net listings. Is there a brokerage out there that can do it for us? Now, we don't normally, as a brokerage, go out there and look for people to come net list with us because those are complicated scenarios. They're not just easy, get a listing agreement, throw it up on MLS and selling. You know what I mean? There's a whole lot more levels of complication behind a net listing. But what I thought was interesting about it is immediately real estate agents were dropping their name in there. Hey, call me, I can help you. Hey, call me, I can help you. And then, there was like a list of like 5 to 10 agents, within like a first few minutes, just begging for the business. And I started, thinking about it. Here's the thing: most brokerages don't even know what a net listing is.
Yeah.
Much less would allow them, right? Because obviously there's a whole lot more risk. So why would you allow a net listing when you can just list the property normally, right? That's one thing. Two, there is a difference between being hungry and, in my opinion, being stupid. And I say that because if you were an agent that decided, hey, I'm going to go try to go net list a property without having the right disclosures, the right knowledge, the right experience in place, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up to a potential large lawsuit. So we want to talk about some of the misconceptions behind what a net listing is, how to properly structure one, how to properly set one up, so that if you are one of those agents, we can help you not get into that scenario. And if you do decide, hey, I want to try to take this risk, and of course, if your broker agrees, because you do have to have a broker that agrees to let you do that, then you can do it without taking that huge liability of just not knowing or not having the right pieces of the puzzle in place. So here's the deal. First off, people believe, here's what people believe out there. People believe that they can put a property under contract, right? And then take that contract, and based on some verbiage that they write into special provisions, the verbiage will say something like, hey, seller agrees to allow buyer to market this property, including listing on MLS. It'll say something to that sort, right?
Okay.
The belief is that because the seller signed off on that contract, that now that buyer has the ability to take that contract and use it to be able to list that property on MLS. So the question is it true or is it false that that contract gives that buyer the ability to do so? What do you think?
I'm not an attorney, but I would say false.
You would say false, BB?
Yeah.
BB, you know the answer to this.
Oh yeah, I know the answer. That's why I don't want to answer.
Okay, so the truth is that it's absolutely false. You cannot take a contract, add verbiage that gives you the ability to list it, and therefore go out there and practice being an agent, right?
Yeah.
Or even hire an agent. You can't take that contract and go pay somebody, one of those flat fee listing agents, $100 to list your properties, because now what you're doing is setting up a scenario where you're listing a property that you don't own, right? So
Yeah.
the argument is this. The argument is, well, I have equitable rights. Have you ever heard that term?
Equitable, contractual.
Right.
People try to use every other type of rights possible.
I have every right to do anything that I want. I have equitable rights because I have a contract to purchase the home, and therefore I control the property. Okay, I get it. You have a contract to purchase the house, right? But just because you decided to put that verbiage, does that give you the ability to list the property? No. So what do you have to do? What are some of the things that you think you have to do as the buyer if you wanted to try to list that property?
You can't. You either have to own it. I mean, Trek is real clear on this, and it drives me crazy when people try to argue that they have equitable interests or that they have contractual rights, because Trek doesn't care about those. Trek has no interest in your equitable rights. They have no interest in your ability to say, well, I put a clause in the contract that gives me contractual rights to market it.
That's right.
You may have the right to market it, correct, but Trek regulates MLS. They regulate multiple listing services. And one of the things that they say is that in order to put a property on a multiple listing service, you have to be the fee simple owner of that property.
That's right.
Which that means the only person who can list the property is the actual owner. The person who owns the deed to that property is the only one who can sign a listing agreement.
So if you wanted to actually list a property, if you wanted to create a net listing scenario, what are some of the things that you would have to do? So a couple of things. Here's some advice for you agents that are out there trying to do this. One, if you're the agent, you have to be dealing directly with the seller, right? Does that mean you cut out the investor? It doesn't necessarily. You don't have to cut out the investor, but you do have to have a listing agreement directly with
the seller. Yeah.
Right? Now here's where it gets complicated, and here's where most agents don't understand, and this is why I even bring this discussion up, because all right, so let's say Joe, the investor, brings you this contract and says, okay, I'm going to buy this property. They've agreed to allow me to net list it. Here's the verbiage that says it. They understand that I'm going to make $100,000, or they're going to make $100,000, and I'm going to make everything above that, right? So now everyone's in agreement on that. So now the agent themselves now has to do what? Well, they have to go talk to the seller and say, seller, is it true that you understand all this? If it's true, please make sure that I have that in writing.
Yeah, I would argue that that's still invalid, and I'll tell you why. Because then the second that you put that property in MLS, you have to mark it as pending. That's the MLS rules. If the property is pending under contract, which it technically is because the seller is pending with that investor to sell on a contract, then the property has to go immediately to pending status, or you risk a violation from TREC because somebody can say, hey, that property is already under contract with somebody, and that invalidates the listing being active.
No, absolutely. I mean, if you're looking at exactly the way things should be done, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But the thing here is there is workarounds on these things. And you have to understand that when you take one of those workarounds, there's risk involved. That's exactly why most brokerages can't do them, because it's impossible to know the level of risk that you're taking by trying one of these type of transactions out if you don't know how to properly disclose things. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It's fully disclosing everything, down to your intentions, down to what you can potentially stand to make. If you're thinking you're going to make $10,000 or $15,000 on a net listing, if that's what your intention is, then you want to disclose that to the seller. Let them know that that's what your intention is, because that's what the law requires you to do. So, this isn't the same as, a quick little wholesale contract where, hey, I'm going to give you this much, and then you bring a buyer and you make, $10,000 or $15,000, and most of the time the seller doesn't even know what you're making. That's a completely different transaction. In this transaction, the seller has to know every part of what you're trying to do in order for it to be considered legal. And by the way, in most states, net listings are not legal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Net listings are not legal at all.
Can we backtrack a little bit and just let people out there know who may not be familiar with this type of transaction what exactly is a net listing?
Okay, yeah. So it's pretty simple. So generally there's a scenario where the seller will say, I want to sell this house, right? But I will not take a dime less than X amount, right?
Okay.
As an investor or as a real estate agent, you can look at that transaction and say, well, this is the amount that you want, but I can potentially get more by listing it or by selling it elsewhere. So, Mr. Seller, I'm going to agree to give you this much because that's the amount that you must have. Is it okay if I take anything that I make above that, right? So that's essentially what a net listing is, where the seller agrees to allow you to make anything you can make above what his minimum number is.
Now, why would a seller allow you to do that? If you believe you can sell the property for that much more, why would a seller allow you to make the spread if they can? Well, if you think they can get that much.
In scenarios that where they have worked for us, it's generally been where we have to do a whole lot more than just listing the property.
Okay.
So it's
a little bit more and beyond just throwing it up on MLS.
Oh yeah,
a true net listing is there has to be a value added proposition. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make your property worth more in some way, shape, or form. That's why a net listing is allowed directly with a real estate agent. Because your fiduciary duty, yes, is to try to look in the best interest of that client. But if that client is telling you this is my break bottom number, and you're saying, okay, I'm agreeing that if we only make that break bottom, I'm going to walk away with zero. Yeah. I may not make anything. I could potentially make nothing. But there's a chance that I'm adding value to this, so I may be able to sell it for more. Therefore, I'm entitled to a larger commission than my 3%. May be larger, may be smaller, but I may get a commission up to X amount of dollars. And that's how a net listing truly is. Now, investors going out, putting the property under contract, not adding any value to the property, but just immediately reselling it, that's just a wholesale transaction in which they're going around the system. Now, the problem is that real estate investors are not licensed by TREC, and they're not under the scrutiny of TREC. Most of them are not. Assuming that you're not licensed, you're a real estate investor, then TREC doesn't regulate you. You're not the one who's going to get in trouble. Mm-hmm. Who is the one that can get in trouble? The agent listing the property for you.
Actually, the broker.
Yeah, the broker, because they're the ones that are supposed to be familiar with the fact that you cannot list the property for somebody who is not the fee simple owner of that property.
That's correct.
And all it takes is one complaint. And trust me, we've spoken with Trek's attorneys on the phone with this.
Yep.
We've sat on here. We've had this conversation. People are like, "Oh, it's a gray area. No, it's not a gray area. It's a very clear black and white.
Yep.
That if you're not the fee simple owner, you can't sign a listing agreement."
By the way, you can look these cases up by actually going to the Trek website and then looking in the complaints section. There, you'll see that a lot of investors get cited by Trek directly because of trying to create these scenarios, these transactions, without proper disclosure, without proper know-how. And what they end up doing is the first thing is kind of a slap on the wrist. They send you a cease and desist, and you know, it's kind of like, hey, don't do it anymore. We know that you're doing it. Don't do it again. Now, if you for some reason cause any type of harm to anyone, any type of situation where they stood a loss or of some sort, then now you're in a litigation scenario. Now you're in a scenario, and this is something we can probably bring up when Ashley's around too, is now you're in a scenario where that seller can potentially sue you, your E&O insurance, and of course your broker, and your broker ends up taking the biggest hit because when Trek comes after you as an agent, it's the broker that has to say, hey, I either allowed this or didn't allow this. So long story short,
which is why a lot of brokerages will not allow you to do a net listing.
That's right. That's right. Because like you said, the scenario has to be right. There has to be a value-added proposition, and you have to have absolute disclosure on everything. Your full intent from the beginning to the end with the seller, and the seller must agree to it. And like you said, why would a seller do that?
Yeah.
There has to be a reason that the seller would agree to that, not just because.
Yeah, and I just want the agents out there to understand that, there's a reason you can stand to make so much more.
That's right.
Because you're putting most of the times, your own money, your own time, and taking on that risk as well.
Absolutely. Anyway, we got to take a quick commercial break, but when we get back, we'll continue our discussion on net listings, do's and don'ts. Stay tuned.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you are interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
What do you love about White Picket?
I love that we work together as a team.
I love being professional while having fun.
I love the innovative approach we take every day.
I love the support we get to grow our business.
We love White Picket.
And I love empowering the next generation of realtors to live life by their own design. If you're looking to grow, come grow with us. Email join@teamwpr.com. Again, that's join@teamwpr.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can always live tweet us at Realty Ruckus. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube, where you can comment live on a show. We can answer your questions for you. And as a matter of fact, we have a couple of questions from the previous segment. So we were actually going to move on and go forward to a different segment, but I think we should answer a couple of these questions because we're getting a lot of people that are saying, okay, well, why can't I ask a real estate agent to list this property for me that I have under contract? Mm-hmm. Look, you can. You can go to any real estate agent and say, I have a property under contract. I want to list it on the MLS. Now, here's what's going to happen. If the agent doesn't know what they're doing, more than likely they're going to agree to list it for you. They may agree to list it at a flat rate. They may say, okay, well, we'll do it for $100 or $195, $200, whatever it may be. That doesn't mean that that agent is doing the right thing. You are not technically their client. Their fiduciary duty is to the fee simple owner of that property. Because you have contractual interest or equitable interest, that does not matter to TREC. TREC is very clear. Fee simple owner is the only one who's supposed to sign that listing agreement. So you don't have the power in TREC's eyes to sign a listing agreement unless you actually own the property. And two, you don't have the power, or the agent isn't supposed to do it. And that's where they can get in trouble.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that's why I was bringing up the topic to begin with, because it's understanding that the agent isn't really supposed to do it. Is there a way to do it? Yes, proper disclosure is the way, and it's absolute, complete, clear disclosure. And of course, that involves not just the agent, but also the broker. So making sure that everyone is in line and that the seller understands exactly what's happening is going to be key to a successful net listing. And that's really the best advice we can give you if you're out there and you're dropping your name into the hat when someone says, hey, will you net list a property for me? Don't go out there and get in trouble just because you need a paycheck. Make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into, and don't lose your license over one listing or whatnot. Would you agree? So
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, I want to talk. We haven't played a game in a long time. All right, and the game that we played in some of the original Realty Ruckus was, is it racist? Now, I don't know about you guys, but there is new reports. All right, there's new reports that Facebook is targeting ads by race. Okay.
Oh, that's very, very.
So,
that's not. That's
no, they're
not
gonna ban. They're looking to ban them.
You're not playing the game.
Yeah.
The game is it racist? Is it or is it not racist for Facebook to target ads based on your race?
No, in my opinion, it is not racist.
It is not racist.
No.
What is your argument behind it not being racist? Is it just marketing in your opinion?
Yeah. Why is it, if you can market to any other demographic? Why? I mean, think about it. Look, I'm not trying to be racist here. Maybe somebody will call me out on being racist. On is this racist?
I'm not racist or anything, right?
No. Think about it. Last night was Monday Night Football, right?
Yeah.
Now think about all of the ads that aired during Monday Night Football. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Several of the ads, the vast majority of them, had a hip hop theme to them. Okay, the vast majority of them also have a lot of young black men in them doing sports and athletics, and then they're trying to sell you Nike gear, or they're trying to sell you Adidas gear, or whatever other gear it is. Mm-hmm. You target to the demographics that are going to be interested in that product. Here's another one. This one is not race. This one has to do with sex. There's Camry. The Toyota Camry commercials are now targeted towards women. And it's basically saying like, hey, get outside the box, do things that are not typical of women to do. It's got a bunch of women throughout the commercial, and they're driving around and seeing the world. That's Toyota marketing to a demographic that they know purchases that vehicle. So are you going to ban Toyota for making ads that are targeted directly at women? Are you going to ban Nike for making ads that are targeted towards blacks and African Americans? It just doesn't make any sense to me why you would ban ads that are marketed towards certain people. You're not discriminating. You're not saying, hey, I don't want the other consumers, but you're saying this is my target market that I'm going after. And really, audience. That makes you a smart business to do that. Because now you're focusing your marketing on the people who care about your marketing. Why would you market Nike commercials to 80-year-old women or 80-year-old men who are sitting at home on their couch? It doesn't make any sense. They're not the ones that are going to be out there buying your product.
So you're telling me 80-year-old women and men don't wear Nikes?
The vast majority of them, I would guess, do not go out.
What do 80-year-old women and men wear?
I imagine.
Where do you get those big white shoes?
The Boomoos?
The big white shoes with the really thick soles.
That's like from the orthopedic.
Do they get marketing for that somewhere? Do they get like snail mail with like a?
Yes,
oh yeah, there's
like
marketing out there for that. Yeah, definitely.
So sometimes the condo that I live in was previously owned by a woman who lived there for like 35 years. She was there since the day they built it, right? And it's funny because sometimes I'll get some of her mail, like junk mail, and I'll get things for like SAS, the shoes, the SAS shoe company.
Yeah.
Like, so they're marketing towards that demographic. They know that People who've lived in somewhere for 30 years, I'm guessing they're looking at the last deed date, and that's how they're getting this information. But they see that 30 years, okay, the person living there must be older. They're the ones interested in these orthopedic special shoes for older people. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Me as a young person, I shouldn't be offended. I'm not interested in that product. So if you're selling a house in an area that's predominantly a certain race or culture, then what's wrong with putting a little bit of extra marketing dollars targeting that demographic? To me, that is not racist. That's just smart business. And maybe I'm wrong. I'd love to hear what the viewers have to say, because I don't see that as being racist.
Yeah, I don't see that as being
a
racist
smart
either.
business owner.
Well, when we're talking about real estate itself, though, things do change just a little bit. I understand when we're talking about Nikes and sending out some SAS shoes with the big white soles to an 80-year-old woman or man. I get that. But when we're talking about real estate, there are laws in place, some anti-discrimination laws in place that keep you from targeting race specifically.
No. They keep you from discriminating on the basis of race. And that's where my argument is. You're not saying that if somebody from a different race comes to you and wants to purchase that property, you're going to turn them away. What you're doing is that you're spending your money on the demographic that is most likely going to buy that property. And for the government to tell me that I have to spend my money equally across the board, targeting even the people that are not interested in my product, then they need to do that federally across for every single thing, or they need to not do it at all. Because there's a difference between discriminating on the basis of race and sending marketing pieces and target marketing. That's my opinion. And I feel very strongly about it. I do not believe that that's racist, and I don't believe that's discrimination.
Yeah, and I agree with BB, but to play, I guess, the devil's advocate, or what some users, I guess, are protesting is the fact that, I guess, for an instance, an apartment complex who may not, for whatever reason, want African Americans or some other type of minority at their apartment complex. What they'll do is basically create ads targeting a certain demographic to the exclusion of who they don't want there. So I guess I can see that as well. They're pointing out to the Fair Housing Act how Facebook in that respect could overstep that act or allow, I guess, housing to overstep that.
The Fair Housing Act doesn't say that you can't target specific demographics. It says
prohibits discrimination.
It prohibits discrimination.
Yeah.
You're not discriminating. So I'm discriminating because I'm choosing.
Yeah, you're not discriminating. You're targeting.
Yeah, I'm not. Like, me discriminating would be me sending out an ad that says, I send an ad out and I literally send it to an area, and then I put at the bottom of the ad,
except Mexicans.
No Mexicans allowed at this apartment complex. That's discrimination. That right there that should be illegal. That should be blocked. But the fact that, hey, if I can cut out a demographic that I know is not interested to begin with, then I don't see how that is racist. I really don't.
Well, there's a fine line there, and it stems back to back in the days where people or agents used to sell certain properties or certain parts of town to earn only certain races.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that was kind of the way that the system was set up. If you were of a certain race, you were told you could only
our listeners are hilarious. Have you seen these comments?
No, I
don't. Tang goes, if an app pops up about ramen, I'm all over it. I'm not racist. And then,
not racist at all.
Al Luetta, he's offering some building material. I guess he's going to give a discount for the Latino hookup. That might be a little bit racist. I think you're excluding some people.
Only Latinos get hooked up.
See,
you guys are hilarious.
Unfortunately, in my opinion, that is discrimination if you say only these people can get the discount.
If you run that ad.
Yeah, now it's different. If you just run the ad and target Hispanics, now if an African American happens to see the ad and comes in, then you have to offer them the same discount. Yeah. You can't say, oh, no, wait, I only ran that ad for Mexicans. I need you to leave. That doesn't work. That is racist. That is discrimination. I think that's where that line is. But I don't think that there's a gray area. I think there's a very fine line. It's either black or white. And to exclude marketing is not discrimination. It's saying, I don't think that that's my target market. And nobody else claims discrimination in any other area, but for some reason in housing, they're making a big deal out of it.
Well, in housing, it is a big deal because there was obvious discrimination in the original days of real estate agents.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So,
I used to
there
live
was
in
a lot of it.
I used to live in Garden Oaks, and one of the clauses in Garden Oaks said that if you're not white, Caucasian, that you could not purchase a house in that neighborhood, and you could not live in a neighborhood unless you were the servant to a white or Caucasian.
The HOA restrictions still say that in that neighborhood.
Yeah, all they did was strike a line through it, and they put on there, due to the U.S. Discriminatory Acts of like 1970, this restriction no longer applies.
Yeah.
But they left it in there. They didn't amend it to remove it. They left it in there and struck it out, basically saying, you can move here if you want, but we're really racist.
Yeah, exactly. Long story short, regardless of whether this is right or wrong, it's being banned, it's being barred on Facebook.
Yeah, which to me, I don't know which government entity is the one that's stepping in. I don't know if it's Facebook the one that's stepping in. If it's just Facebook, then that's their right to do so.
Yeah, it's Facebook's deal.
That they can do whatever they want. But in my opinion, if the government is the one trying to overstep and overreach, they're going too far with that, because now you're telling marketers where they can and can't spend their money.
That's right.
And that's not something the government should have the right to do.
Well, this is not the first instance of the government telling us where we can spend our money either. So this is
true.
not new. Regardless, we got to take a quick commercial break, guys. Thank you very much. We'll be right back with some more events for you guys.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you're interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
What do you love about White Picket?
I love that we work together as a team.
I love being professional while having fun.
I love the innovative approach we take every day.
I love the support we get to grow our business.
We love White Picket.
And I love empowering the next generation of realtors to live life by their own design. If you're looking to grow, come grow with us. Email join@teamwpr.com. Again, that's join@teamwpr.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can live tweet us at Realty Ruckus. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube, where we can answer all of your questions live on the air. We've gotten some really funny comments lately, good questions that people are asking today. I really appreciate it. Remember that if you want to text into the show, 832-790-2578. Again, that's 832-790-2578. And you can also call into the show at that same number. Once again, it's 832-790-2578. Now, we want to go ahead and make sure that people know of some very, very important events happening this week. Now, if you're a realtor here in the Houston area, you're going to want to listen up, especially if you own super boxes, because today starts this Supra box exchange.
I own a couple super boxes, BB.
Yeah.
Where do I exchange those at?
You bring them to me, and I'll make sure they get exchanged. But everyone else, do not come to me to exchange your super boxes. Go on HAR's website. They have a website. If you're a realtor, you can go on there, schedule an appointment, so that you just don't show up and wait in a long line. You go over there, you take all your super boxes, and they will now give you the brand new super boxes, which are supposed to be entirely different. They will no longer require the fob key unit on them anymore.
They won't require this ugly little thing.
Yeah. Do we know anything else about what's changing with them?
They're going to have a longer battery life, and they're going to have a lot better reporting, apparently. So I'm not sure. We'll see exactly once they come out.
Yeah.
I haven't actually even gotten to take a look at it. We're picking ours up on Thursday out in Sugar Land Land Town Square Mall. That's where they're doing the exchange on Thursday. But rumor on the streets is that if you do not exchange them now, you will not be able to exchange them for free in the future. It will be a $35 per box cost to exchange. Now, we own about 50 Supras here at the office. So that's a huge expense if you're talking about $35 for each Supra. So we're going to be exchanging on Thursday. Highly recommend, if you're a realtor and you own your super boxes, go and get them exchanged. And then also go down to the HAR.com store and talk to them about your fob key, because you may not need it anymore. And I know that that does charge a monthly fee for the fob key. So if you don't need it anymore, why pay for it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right, so and that's going on today through Thursday only,
today
right?
through Thursday, and it's by appointment. You have to go online, go on HAR.com, look up the appointments. It's the Super Key Box Exchange is what they're calling it, and it's supposed to be really quick. You show up, they scan them all in. You know how they have barcodes on the back of them, and then they give you the new ones. It's supposed to be a really easy, simple process. So hopefully it is, and we'll get some really cool new key boxes.
Yeah, so don't forget, you guys, you got to pick up your Supras today, tomorrow. Go get them exchanged on Thursday, and get some new ones.
Awesome. Well, as far as other events go, coming up later this week, we have 2 lunch and learns on the same day. So depending on what part of town you're in, you can go to either one. So Capital Concepts is having their lunch and learn the 17th later this week, and so
what's the topic on that one? Do we know?
I think they're going to do hard money lending. I'll have to look at the actual.
Okay.
I know they're qualifying people there.
Yeah.
I forgot what their other topic or their speaker is.
Okay.
Actually, it's Tom Berry with the Wealth Club.
There you go.
And if you guys don't know who Tom Berry is, phenomenal guy, has just been a rock star in the real estate investing world, and he's going to be talking to you guys on how to become a successful real estate investor. He's going to give you his top 10 tips.
Yeah, and what I love about Tom Berry is that he's literally a guy who was at the top, and then he fell when the financial crisis hit. He fell down, and he was in rock bottom. You can talk to him about it. He's very open
he'll tell you about it.
with his story, and it's very inspiring to people who have nothing, because he went from nothing and now owns several multifamily complexes. I know he just cashed out at least about $3 million worth out on those complexes as well. So he's very inspirational. He can show you how to come from the bottom all the way to the top. That's a good one. What's the other lunch and learn?
So the other lunch and learn is Eric Maya and Premier Nationwide Lending.
Okay.
What they're going to be doing is they're going to be hosting a lunch and learn for a goal setting for your business. So get your 2017 jump started, set the goals now, and start a plan to be successful in 2017.
Yeah, and you know, that's so important, because that's one mistake that we've actually made in the past, is that we don't plan until the beginning of the year, and then we plan out for the rest of the year, and we find ourselves hitting the middle of the first quarter before we actually start being able to implement all of those plans. And that's a big mistake, because you're losing about 2 months of the year that you are not focused, that you don't know which direction you're going in. So you got to make sure you get those plans set out. You got to make sure you have a path already set up, so that on day one of the next year, you hit the ground running.
Yeah, and he's going to be going over something called the SMART goal setting system.
Yeah, it's very good.
And it's if you've never done it before, it's a great experience. It allows you to get some focused goals and benchmarks for what you're trying to achieve, not only in your 2017 year, but throughout the rest of your life, which you should be thinking about and figuring out what steps you should be, which direction you should be going in order to achieve those things that you want to achieve. So make sure you guys go out there. It's at Los Cucos
Up in Kingwood.
In Kingwood. Yep. The loan officer is Eric Maya, which, by the way, is a phenomenal loan officer. He's got a great team.
We're going to have to bring him on the show to talk about follow-up, because he's amazing at follow-up.
He is probably one of the best
he really
out there.
is. Yeah.
He's one of the best, and yeah, I think that's a great idea. We have to get Eric out here and talk to us about it. But don't forget to sign up for his class. That's November 17th, and that's at 11 a.m.
Exactly. And then the next day we have another lunch and learn. This one is with Clifton Saunders and Rapid Pro Mortgage. He's going to be hosting his lunch and learn the next day from noon to 1 at Tortillas Mexican Restaurant down in LaPorte. So, yeah, that's we have things all over town.
Kingwood, we have LaPorte. We're all over the place.
I need those flying cars to come out already, because
if we had a flying car, we could eat lunch for free every day. I'm telling you.
I wouldn't mind going to events in LaPorte if I had a flying car.
Yeah, these are all over the place. But if you're as an agent, if you're in different areas of the city,
that's very true, man. Houston is large, so that's great that we have events going on all over the place.
And then I think that's really going to be the last one before we hit Thanksgiving week, before we start hitting Black Friday. Maybe we'll bring you guys some Black Friday deals next episode.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that should be the...
We'll let you guys know which lines are
You know
worth
what I heard
standing
about?
in line for.
I was listening to the radio this morning, and I heard about the new... every year there's the toy. Which
The
toy
toy
is
of
going to
the
be
year,
the
yeah.
hottest toy? And I thought it was going to be the NES, the little mini,
little-
which
little
did sell
Nintendo?
out. It's hot.
I
But
want one.
Apparently, what's hot this year for kids is this thing called a hatchable, and it's like
What's a hatchable?
Hatchable?
It's an egg, and you gotta cuddle it and play with it or whatever, and then it eventually hatches into like a Furby looking thing that you got to take care of, and that's the new big thing for kids. Apparently, these things are so popular; they sell for $60 a pop. They're sold out everywhere. Some have gone for even as high as $1,000.
Hey, don't you guys dare criticize kids these days, because we had this stupid thing called a Tamagotchi.
I remember Tamagotchis.
Tamagotchis and Beanie Babies.
remember
We had
Tamagotchis,
Tamagotchis,
Beanie
Beanie Babies, and Furbies. Okay.
I remember for the original
No, I'm
Furby,
not
there was a
criticizing.
frenzy
I'm
over
just
the
saying
original
it's
Furby.
crazy.
I thought you were criticizing the new generation on like making fun of them for their hatching egg. And you know what? and even the older generation, baby boomers, don't you dare criticize our toys, because you had pet rocks.
Yeah, you
Okay?
did.
Hey, Chia Pets.
Did they pay for Pet Rocks?
Yeah,
Yes, they did, man. They actually sold them in stores, and people had them.
Yep.
And that was the most fun thing that they had, like in the 60s.
Yeah, so if you guys see
Oh,
those,
and those little fro things that they used to grow.
The
little
Chia
plants,
Pets.
The Chia Pets.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Chia.
yeah, so
Remember
if you
those
see those,
commercials?
pick them up. $60 a pop. I know they're going hot right now, like hot cakes. $150 a pop online.
Yeah,
so
I
there you go,
actually
double
saw-
your money.
if you go online, look it up. There's a Donald Trump Chia Pet. It's really funny because it's like a long grain that grows on one side, and then you have to fold the grass.
You gotta comb it
Yeah,
over?
you have to comb it over. It's so funny, man.
Is
It's
it
hilarious.
orange?
No, you should. The dying grass will turn orange, right?
That is so funny.
Oh, we did have one more event to talk about. I'm sorry. This is coming up in December, right? Naret, why don't you tell us about that one, Alan?
So December 1st, Gallery Furniture, we have a live salsa band. We're going to have some free salsa classes, and we're going to be collecting some toys so that we can give some toys.
And for our viewers who don't know, we're not talking about salsa like Mexican food. He's actually referring to salsa like dancing.
Can we play Is It Racist with that comment?
Was that comment racist? Some people don't know what salsa dancing is.
I think everybody understands what salsa dancing is, but if you want to learn...
If I just jumped on a show right now and I wasn't listening to anything else, and all I heard was there's going to be some salsa lessons, I might think that you're going to teach me how to make salsa.
That makes sense. Well, I'm going to teach you how to dance salsa.
All right,
How
we're
about
gonna
that?
learn how to dance salsa. I think my wife is gonna be pretty
Can
excited about
everybody
this
here
one.
like be good about that? Because like we're gonna learn this thing, and we're gonna go out like
I'm excited, dude.
to like a salsa club one day and look like pros one day. So we're gonna teach you guys how to do it. It's gonna be really cool because there's gonna be a live performance and a live instructor group there, like helping everybody and teaching us how to do it. It's about having a good time. It's about bringing the
If
community
you don't
together.
have rhythm, will there be libations to help loosen you up?
There will be plenty of libations to help
Awesome.
loosen you up. Yes, there will be.
That's pretty
Some of us
awesome.
need some help.
We will give you some liquid rhythm. How about that?
There we
Liquid
go.
rhythm, I like that.
So
I
that
will
should
say
be a
one
ton of
thing.
fun.
If you are single and you want
And
to
ready to
find-
mingle.
and you're ready to mingle and you want to find somebody else, a significant other, dancing salsa, especially if you're a man, gives
Yeah.
you a lot of power.
Yep.
There's tons of power in the salsa for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Even-
because
even-
my wife always yells at me for not dancing with
Yeah,
her.
Really?
even the most basic, you can just learn the most basic pieces of it, and trust me, it will bring you results.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it. Thanks for putting this one on. Alan.
Absolutely,
And,
yeah.
And
Narep
Narep too,
for putting on.
We're
that,
excited
yeah,
about
absolutely.
this thing, man. And you know, as far as NARP is concerned, we have 5 events that we're planning already for next year. Most of which will be educational events to help the community understand what it is that you have to do and what it takes to find wealth in real estate.
If people want to sign up for the December 1st event, how do they sign up?
We're actually going to drop the Eventbrite today, as
Okay.
well as a flyer and all the details. So
All
you
right.
guys will see
Perfect.
it later
Going out
today.
today. We'll put it on the Houston Real Estate
Yeah,
Events page.
we'll share it.
Guys, make sure you follow Houston Real Estate Events on Facebook. It's the best way to stay up to date with Houston news as far as real estate
Non-paid
goes.
events only.
Yep.
All right, so I think that's pretty much the end of our show, guys. Thank you guys very much for joining us today at the Realty Ruckus. Don't forget that we're going to be here this Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're going to be joined by our local expert and attorney, Ashley Patton, talking about everything legal. And keep up your Realty Ruckus. We'll see you on Friday. Have a great day.
This has been the Realty Ruckus. Make sure and join us every Tuesday and Friday for new episodes. Find us on YouTube and Facebook for replays of previous episodes. And as always, keep elevating yourself and keep up your ruckus. Thanks for listening. Realty Ruckus has been brought to you by Smart Pig Media Productions.